and thank you for the opportunity to be here today to share my experience. This wouldn't have been possible if I wasn't one of the few people with ME/CFS that has access to NDIS supports. I thought I'd start by asking you to consider a few questions. Has anyone ever experienced jet lag after a long haul flight where you're sleep deprived and exhausted? Has anyone ever experienced migraines where you've got stabbing pain, nausea, and severe light and sound sensitivity? I'm sure we've all had a bad flu where we're bedbound, like we can't get up. We get hot and cold fevers, we're coughing, and noses are running, our whole body aches, and we've got that hot and cold feeling. Has anyone ever had a concussion where you're dizzy, you've got headaches and problems with your memory, thinking and concentration? And was anyone unfortunate enough to have to experience hotel quarantine where you're unable to leave and you're unable to interact with other people? Can you imagine what it would be like to experience all of those things at the same time? And can you imagine if that was your daily life, not knowing if or when it would ever change? That's just a tiny glimpse into my experience, and I think Lily put it extremely well earlier, but I suppose that shows a little of what it's like for me to live with severe ME/CFS, and a slight glimpse into the life of thousands of other Australians living with that today. For me, this started because it took 16 years for me to receive a diagnosis of ME/CFS. At every GP visit over those 16 years, I would raise strange and seemingly unrelated symptoms, along with poor quality sleep and life-impacting fatigue. Each time tests would be run, they'd come back normal. Each time I would try and figure out what was wrong and keep going with my normal life. I finally thought I'd figured it out and that it might be ME/CFS, so I went to my GP to ask about it. And she told me, word for word, stop Googling your symptoms. Even if you have it, there's nothing that can be done for it. So instead, focus on living an active life. 18 months later, I was finally diagnosed with ME/CFS. The well-intentioned cardiologist who diagnosed me told me the treatment for ME/CFS was, yes, graded exercise therapy. Even though at that stage I was still managing to work full-time, mostly at home, and I would walk or do yoga most days of the week, he told me to stop doing that exercise and instead start jogging around my backyard for 5 minutes a day and increasing that by an extra minute each day. I'd never gone for a run before in my life, and I jokingly referred to this to my husband as my daily torture session. But I did it for 4 weeks until I collapsed and I haven't recovered. At every one of those appointments over those 16 years, the outcome for me could have been changed. If just one of those doctors had known how to recognise ME/CFS and had explained the importance of learning to pace, rather than pushing through my symptoms and doing graded exercise therapy, I'm confident I would not be in the position that I am today. And the worst thing is, this story is not uncommon amongst ME/CFS sufferers. A long wait for diagnosis is not the exception, it's the norm. And finding medical professionals who are willing and able to help us is near impossible. Excuse me for a second. In fact, I recently ran a poll in the ME/CFS Australia Community Facebook group, an amazing community, asking how many medical practitioners people had seen for diagnosis and treatment. In only 3 days, we had 412 responses. Together, we identified 48 different types of health professionals that we had consulted, including 22 different types of medical specialists. Combined, we'd consulted 2,627 clinician types, an average of more than 6 types each. But many have seen dozens and more than one of each type. With all of these consultations and the thousands of people suffering from ME/CFS today, how many millions of patient and taxpayer dollars are being spent searching for and often still not finding answers? Still today, there is no clear path to diagnosis and treatment for ME/CFS in our medical system. There's no one medical specialist college responsible for it, and no compulsory comprehensive training for any medical professional about it. So why am I here today? It's hard, but I wanted our decision makers to see at least a little of what this disease looks like face to face. Beautiful. And for you to understand the devastating toll that this disease takes on the people living with it, and our carers and our families. But most importantly, I want to ask you to stop this preventable suffering. Over the past 12 months, as has been mentioned, 3 important things have happened. The Albanese government and the Honourable Minister Butler have invested in the development of clinical practice guidelines for ME/CFS by the NHMRC. This is critical work, but it will take at least another 2 years to complete. Secondly, the Royal Australian College of General Practitioners have established the specific interest group for energy limiting and post-infection conditions, being led by Associate Professor Bernard Shue. This is welcome recognition of the critical need for GPs to have extended skills and knowledge to manage such complex conditions. And thirdly, Emerge Australia has collaborated with the American Bateman Horne Centre of Excellence to develop exceptional quality, evidence-based educational materials for clinicians, patients, and carers. With these 3 essential elements now in place, I believe we're in the best position we have ever been to finally make systemic change happen. But we must act now to lay the foundations for the successful implementation of the new clinical practice guidelines in 2028. To do this, I ask the Albanese government, through Minister Butler, to invest immediately in 3 key areas. Firstly, clinical education for all healthcare practitioners, including GPs, specialists, and allied health professionals. This education must focus on preventing harm by overcoming the entrenched misconceptions about ME/CFS. It must give practitioners the confidence to recognise and diagnose it early, to facilitate symptom management, and recommend pacing, not graded exercise therapy. Secondly, we need investment in advanced clinical education for any and all healthcare professionals that want to go beyond the basics and who are willing to treat those of us who are severely unwell and disabled. This will enable the establishment of a network of knowledgeable, competent, and accessible practitioners to provide best practice clinical care to all those who need it, not just those who can afford to pay for it. And thirdly, we need an investment in the expansion of patient support services. Like the McGrath Foundation Cancer Care Nurses, the Emerge Australia Telehealth Nurse Service is an absolute lifeline. These nurses provide up-to-date information, management tools, and practical and emotional support. This mode of support has a proven track record and requires significant increased and secure funding to expand its capacities to support all Australians living with this condition and our carers. I'm here today to ask you to decide to act now and allocate the funding necessary to prevent thousands more people needlessly becoming permanently disabled like me before the NHMRC Guidelines are released in 2028. Before I finish, I'd like to share something that I wrote on my personal blog, which is called Not Just Tired. ME/CFS is a life lived in pajamas and darkness, where having a shower counts as strenuous exercise and takes many days to recover from. Where reading must be strictly restricted. Having a conversation is exhausting. Using any screen is painful. The joy of listening to music is forbidden. Moments of light, connection, and meaning are so rare that they are truly treasured. Being here today is one of those moments for me, but it comes at a significant cost. It will take weeks and maybe months for me to recover back to my already limited baseline. Sorry. So when you leave work here today and you go out to dinner or you drive or fly home, when you walk your dog on the weekend, go to a cafe or catch up with family and friends, when you watch a movie or you just go to the shops and grab some groceries, please remember that you are lucky to be living the life that I and every ME/CFS patient used to live. When you're doing each of these things, please remember us. We will be confined to our homes and our beds in dark, quiet rooms. We and our carers and our supporters will be living in hope that you take action to end the discrimination and the needless suffering patients living with ME/CFS have endured for nearly 100 years. Thank you.